Assalamu alaikum. Sorry for being late. I'm not late, but we are heading the schedule. This session, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Khamis and Mr. Yunus for their interesting presentations and useful presentations. Now we are supposed to start at 11:30, but since we are heading the schedule, I think it's all right to start now. This will be the first session in computer science and management information system track. So allow me to present Dr. Sopria. She's going to present from Sultan Qaboos University. She's going to present research about supporting method, fragments for service-oriented architecture realization, review and future research directions. This research is jointly conducted by Dr. Sapria from Sultan Qaboos University and Dr. Basil Ben Ismail from Oman College of Management and Technology. Dr. Sapria, we would like to welcome you. So please, you can proceed with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hello, can you see the screen?
No.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me and the screen is visible?
Dr. Sapria, we can hear you, but the presentation is black. We can see the mouse moving.
Okay. Wait 1 minute.
Dr. Sapria, can you share your screen, please?
Yes. Is it visible now? Is the screen is visible?
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it now. Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Very good morning to all of you. First of all, thank you for giving us an opportunity to present our research work. So today I'll be presenting a paper titled Supporting Method Fragments for Service-Oriented Architecture Realization, the Review and Future Research Directions. So before moving to the presentation, let me explain about the title. So as all of you know, a method is nothing but a systematic way or approach to do something. So the intention of our research is to how enterprises can achieve service-oriented architecture, the promised benefits with a proper defined systematic set of activities, and what are the methods that an enterprise is required and how we can improve this. So this is the outline of today's presentation. We have 5 small sections. We'll talk about the research background and the result of our research. Like we identified some of the methods which are required for adopting service-oriented architecture. And as service-oriented architecture is a concept that started in early 2005 and still it is a hot research topic and active. But we need to integrate that with the current research trends. So how we can achieve the benefits in terms of integrating the 4th industrial technologies and service-oriented architecture. And I'll conclude my presentation. So as you all know, the business is becoming more and more agile. So the traditional monolithic architecture was unable to achieve the enterprise's requirements in terms of process flexibility, in terms of reuse. So as a result, the service-oriented architecture came into the picture. So it is a software development architecture style based on the concept of services. So as you all know, services the enterprise, and service-oriented architecture is based on the concept of service orientation. That means we have the objective is to maximize the reusability, flexibility, and agility of an enterprise to adopt or to incorporate new changes as there is new business requirements are coming day by day. So the traditional monolithic architecture is unable to handle this requirement and service-oriented architecture came into the picture. But still, service-oriented architecture offers a lot of promises, but enterprises are struggling to achieve the promised benefits. There are so many reasons. Each enterprises have their own reasons to achieve the benefits of what's offered, or in terms of the way they adopt, they are facing challenges. So our intention is how an enterprise can overcome this with a set of systematic approach, what we can do about this. So the research is all about how the methods for developing services can be improved by reusing the existing techniques. So before moving to our research, I will explain the background. So first of all, the concept is service-oriented architecture. As I said, it's a software developing approach based on the concept of service orientation. The traditional software engineering methods, like we have to collect the requirements, then model the requirements, develop the software, testing. This is the normal process for software development. So this traditional software development is not fitting the requirements of service development. So as a result, a separate discipline for service-oriented software engineering came into picture after the introduction of SOA. This research has started, we can say decades ago. Like there are many methods to develop service systems. There is a life cycle for service, like how, first of all, we need to identify the services provided by an enterprise, and we need to specify these services. then develop the services and deploy the services. So once upon a time, after a certain period of time, these services will be retired. So there is a life cycle. And along with this, the new services are developed from existing services through composition. Like if you go for any online purchase, we know we have to select the item. Then at the end of the stage, we have to integrate a service with the bank. So the services from different entities or different organizations are merged to achieve a business requirement. So the traditional static approach does not fit with this. So as a result, we have many service-oriented methods. So the third concept involved is the method engineering. So how we can develop these methods, service. One way is we can develop any method from the scratch, but that is again, no need to reinvent the wheel. The second is we can analyze the existing methods and we can take some part of the methods or set of activities and we can compose a new method. And according to the requirements of our organization, we can customize that. That concept is called method engineering. So we analyzed the existing methods based on a review and identified some of the method fragments or set of activities to improve the service-oriented architecture adoption. So the question is like, what is a method fragment? Method fragment is nothing but a part of a method. It can be a single method or a part of method. It has a set of activities that will be performed by some roles, some job roles, and it will take some work products as input and develop some work products as output. So in the context of service-oriented architecture, we need to develop new services. So that we call as the methods for service engineering. Enterprises need method for service engineering. How a technical service can be created, how a business service can be created, how a business process service can be created. So the second concept is business process design or redesign. There will be an existing business process. So new requirements may come. So the enterprise has to redesign the business process, or the enterprise has to there will be a change from the government regulations. So enterprise has to incorporate new rules. So how a business process can be redesigned dynamically. So that creates automatic composition or dynamic composition reusing the existing services. So the main objective of service-oriented architecture is to promote reuse of a service. So in that case, when an engineer designs a service, he has to consider, or limit the intercommunications between different services or dependability. So there are many criteria that have to be considered while engineering a service. So this is the scope of methods within service-oriented architecture. So how this method fragment can be formally represented for an organization? Methods is nothing but a set of activities that will a systematic approach to achieve something. So a method or a method fragment can be formally represented based on, there are many guidelines. So one guidelines which we followed is software process engineering meta model. This is designed by Object Management Group in 2010, which is still used. So there will be a set of activities. There will be some job roles who perform these activities, and there will be some inputs which will be an input for these activities and which will generate some outputs as part of this activity. So this is how formally a method can be represented. What we did is we analyzed the existing methods, recent methods for service-oriented architecture adoption. We analyzed 13 methods through a systematic literature review. Based on the process pattern, we identified 5 supporting method fragments. As this is an initial research, there are many methods which are required to adopt the SOA successfully. So these 5 method fragments are service classification, change management, service monitoring, service measuring, and resilience measuring. So, as I said, now business is more moving towards dynamic composition. So, when an enterprise has to compose a new business process, it needs a mechanism to discover a new service or discover from an existing set of services. Then we need to select the best services from that. Then if there is collaboration between different organizations, an enterprise need to analyze which method, which service has to be selected. So there will be negotiation between the organization background. It can be based on their service level, their payment mechanisms, and those things. So composition involves service discovery, service selection, service negotiation. There are different sub-processes. So to support service composition, the enterprise needs other method fragments or other set of activities. So based on our review, we identified 5. As of now, 5 new method fragments, which we categorized under supporting method fragments. So the first one is service classification. So there are different techniques to classify services. One such technique is description-based service classification. What is description-based service classification? Like a service can be classified based on its input, functionalities, output, the non-functional requirements. These things have to be considered when classifying services. Then the second is change management. As I said, there will be new business requirement every then and now. There will be new government regulation to change the processes. So how an enterprise manage these requests? They need to dynamically compose the business process from different services. They need to integrate these changes. So enterprise should follow a written or a change management plan. On enterprise should think about how they can handle these situations. And the third is service monitoring. So when there are running services, enterprise has to monitor the performance. They need business activity monitoring tools to monitor the performance of the services, how they meet the objectives. There are different criteria that an enterprise have to consider. Then the fourth is service measuring. It is a set of metrics just to analyze the scoring framework of different services. And the last one is resilience measurement. What does that mean? It means how a service handles the unexpected errors, how it will run the business when there is an unexpected or anticipated error comes in real. So enterprise need alternate plans to handle such errors. So these things have to be think before, and these activities needs to be considered when an enterprise defines its methods. This is a formal representation of one method we identified, like candidate service monitoring. So first of all, as I said, there is a set of activities. This set of activities can be changed from organization A to organization B. But this is a sample basic level set of activities. The enterprise needs to collect the statistics from existing running programs. They need to set SLA alert. SLA is the service level agreement alerts. They need to monitor individual services, and it should have a real-time viewer to know the performance of the services. And it can be achieved through business activity monitoring tools. There are many tools in the market available. So this is under the response of a particular role that we call operational service team lead, and the job role differs. So the work product we have is service level transaction log. An enterprise can analyze this transaction log to know the performance of the services. So this is just an example on how we can formally represent a service monitoring. So now we come to the main point, the future research direction. As you all know, the 4th industrial revolution technologies have significant impact on our daily life. So the two main areas like IoT service development and blockchain services, how this can be integrated with service-oriented architecture. This is a very, this IoT and blockchain is new research topic, and which is very well we can integrate with service-oriented architecture, but that is a gray area. The researchers are still going on. Because service-oriented architecture, even though it has a lot of benefits, there are some challenges in terms of the privacy and security of services, and it more depends on the information silo system. That means the existing systems are like existing information systems. Two different systems have different mode of communication, and it is difficult to establish the communication between two different systems. Then the third is pricing mechanisms, like how services can be charged from organization to different organization. So these challenges are the current challenges which we can overcome through blockchain. As you all know, blockchain offers decentralization, so information silo problem can be solved. Then it has cryptocurrency and the pricing mechanism, and blockchain also offers more security. So we need to think about how this can be integrated. This SOA services and the blockchain technology, how they can together work. So what kind of changes an organization needs? This is one area. And the second is IoT service development. As you know, we have different systems, different devices provide services. So they are heterogeneous. They have different infrastructures. They have different they are using different services, different communication path, different channels, different mode of communication. So how this can be integrated with the current service-oriented architecture? For example, when I defined a method, I said there is a job role. But in case of integrating IoT service development, a device is performing a job. Here the job role is performed by a device. So how such integration can be done? So how such monitoring can be done? So this is an area where we have to focus more on how the heterogeneous services can be integrated. So this is our future research plan, how we can benefit out of service-oriented architecture and the recent technical developments in IoT services and blockchain service developments. So to conclude this presentation, what we did is we explored the existing service-oriented architecture methods to achieve the promised benefits of service-oriented architecture. So we identified 5 different areas where an enterprise have to focus more, and we identified the new research areas in terms of integrating IoT services and blockchain technology with the service-oriented architecture. So that's all about the summary of our presentation. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sapria, for your interesting presentation. Although the forum was supposed to be at the end of the session, but I think we have 4 minutes if anybody has any questions. Please, the floor is yours. Any questions before starting the next presentation? All right. If no questions, then we can move to the next presentation. Allow me to call Mr. Muhammad Saeed Al-Shaili and Ms. Samiha Najah from Middle East College. Their research paper is titled Cell Spare Parts Application, abbreviation as SPSA. Mr. Mohammed Saeed, are you available? Dr. Mastan, are the presenters available? Maybe they are late because their presentation was supposed to start at 11:45.
Sir, they are not available, sir. I was trying to request them to join.
All right. Then till they join, we can go to the third presentation, and if they join, we can reschedule the presentation. Next presentation is will be presented by Dr. Walid bin Ali from Oman College of Management and Technology. His presentation is about artificial intelligence-led smart cities. So, Dr. Walid, if you are available, please start sharing your screen.
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Walid, we can hear you. Can you share your screen, please?
Okay. Yes, just a moment. I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, please.
Can everybody see my screen, please?
Yes, Dr. Walid, we can see your screen.
All right, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, and welcome to this conference. Thank you very much for this giving me the time to present my research topic. So my research topic, my presentation will be short. So it will be about AI-led smart city. It's a combination of the world of artificial intelligence and smart cities. So thanks for OCMT and the conference organizer for giving me the opportunity to present this research topic, which is very trendy and very important. So why we talk about actually smart cities? Because since 2007, actually, the United Nations has developed an alarming report about two trends, which put the alarm on the full world. So the first trend is, they said in their report that now we are 54% of the people are living in cities. And by 2050, it will be 75%. So more than the half of the world are living in cities. And this is called urbanization phenomena, and it's getting higher and higher. So as you can see here, this is just as example, this is Shanghai in 1987, and this is Shanghai in 2013, and you see the difference. So it's an alarming phenomenon. So this is the first trend. The second trend is we have now 31 megacities. What does it mean, megacity? Cities with more than 10 million people in the city. And in 2050 will be 50 megacities. All right, you can imagine more than 10 million people living in cities. You can imagine the densities. So this is the first alarming issue. The second alarming issue is the population growth. So we are more urbanized people, we are more moving to cities, but also there is a huge growing in the population on this planet, right? So now we have 7.4 billion, but by 2050 will be between 9 billion and 10 billion. So this is a second alarming indicator announced by the United Nations on 2007. So what is the impact of these two indicators? Some people, they pass superficially over these two indicators, but these two indicators have a great impact, a negative impact. So when we are more on this planet, when we are more urbanized, this will create a scarcity of energy consumption. This will create a scarcity of water because the resources are limited. This will create hungry. This will create more poor people. This will create deforestation because when we are more urbanized, we need more building, and this urbanization and building construction will be over deforestation. So we'll have less green area. We'll have more cars. This means more traffic, more density, more people under stress. This means more accident. We'll have more, unhealthy people. See, and this is a big problem. This is a pretty big problem because we have more unhealthy people. عندي محاضرة يعني. Okay. So this, more unhealthy people, and this will create some pressure on the hospitals and healthcare facilities. This will put some pressure on the schools, And of course, we have more wars because when we have limited resources, again, we have more crime. We have lesser job. Many people are looking for a job, and we have more crime, and we have terrorism, and so on. So all of these is called urban problem. And we live in the digital age, and this we have a lot of problem related to the digital, world and digital. We talk about security and so on. You can imagine all these problems are just because of these two trends, right? So we live in the fourth industrial revolution. So how to solve this problem? Again, people, they said we live in the fourth industrial revolution, and this industrial revolution came with many technologies. And the speakers and the presenter, and this morning they talked about them. I will go briefly. We have the Internet of Things, we have big data, artificial intelligence, 3D printing, cloud printing. We talked about blockchain, we talked about drone, artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, and so on. We have studied more than 66 actually technology of the fourth industrial revolution. So actually people said, why we don't use this technology to solve this problem? So today I'm going to focus on the artificial intelligence. So there is a guy who has written a book, very interesting book. They said the title of the book, Technology is the Answer, but what was the question? What does it mean? Any problem, we can solve it through technology. And this is what's happening now. So all this problem, and these many cities now, and many organizations and many people said we can solve most of this problem that I mentioned here using these technologies. Whatever IoT, whatever big data, sustainable technology. Here we talk about the problem which is the scarcity of energy. Now they are moving to wind, to solar panel. It's not only digital technology, as you can see. The fourth industrial revolution doesn't come only with the digital technology. It comes with the green technology, biotechnology, nanotechnology, and so on. So we have many technology that can solve this problem. And this is what organization, government, and people are working. We talk about sustainable cities, sustainability. We talk about digital transformation. So for example, we can use IoT, for example, to put sensors on the road and to monitor the traffic. We can use solar panel and wind turbine to use energy not from fossil fuel, but from the sun. We can use water sensor to reduce the consumption of, for example, water. We can use, for example, what is called vertical farming, to farm more in urban areas so we can reduce the hunger. And we also can use sensor to monitor the floods and so on. Now we are using the digital technology to offer MOOCs to reduce the pressure on the schools and so on. We talk about smart health, where we use technology to do what is called telehealth and reduce the charge over the hospitals and so on. So these are some examples. So smart cities, so this is the topic. This is what we call smart cities. Smart cities is when you use technologies to solve all these problems which are related to cities. All these problems are within cities, because remember the urbanization phenomena. So this is what is smart city. By the way, smart cities is a topic before 2007. So as you can see here, since 1992, we talk about smart cities. So this book is actually mentioned the first time, smart cities. The title of the book, Smart Cities, Fast System Global Network, and as you can see, it's in the year 1992. And then the second book was in 1996, and we talk about telecommunication as you can see, and the cities. So here, as you can see, telecommunication and the cities. So this to show you that the phenomena of smart city existed before 2007, but it became exponential after 2007. So this is the statistics about research and publication related to smart cities, and as you can see, the exponential phenomena. So this exponential phenomena since 2007, you see the huge number of research here. It's exponential. Before we have few research, but since 2000, basically 7, if I go to this graph, since 2007, we can see here an exponential. So this is where the United Nations mentioned about the report, and you see the exponential research in the field of smart cities. So this is really very, very interesting. And people start talking about smart city, a lot of research, a lot of application, and this is the purpose of our research. So people start defining what is smart city. They define what is called the dimension of smart city. So we talk about smart economy, we talk about smart people, we talk about actually smart governance, smart mobility, when we talk about the mobility and the accident and so on, smart environment, and smart living. So this is very, very important. So this basically we have many dimensions, but these are the common dimensions for smart cities in the literature review. Right. So smart city also is an ecosystem. So it's not only developed by government, by business. It's an ecosystem between industry, between government, between academia. Also, many people in the academia, they work on smart cities, and also between citizens. Because remember, smart cities are for citizens, for people. You know, so we have to develop the right smart city for the people. What we have realized in the research, we have realized that most of the people working on smart city, whatever academician or government or companies, they focus on two technology, which is the Internet of Things, where they put data, put sensors, and IoT devices in the city itself to collect data, and then they get this data and they analyze it to get an idea about the current status or the current situation of the city in order to take a decision. For example, we can put sensors on the road to collect data about real-time data about the traffic, and then we can see which roads has more traffic, and then we can take decision. For example, open more road, etc., etc. So a few research work has focused on artificial intelligence in smart city and machine learning, because remember, the artificial intelligence and machine learning is different from data analytics and business intelligence. So because it's also artificial intelligence is a new trend, you know, because it's the umbrella or the iceberg of all these technologies I mentioned before of the fourth industrial revolution. So few people are working on artificial intelligence. We have many people working on artificial intelligence, but not within the context of smart city. So the idea is of our research is to combine smart city with artificial intelligence, and for that reason we come up in this research with a conceptual model, you know, where we propose a combination or between the two words of smart city and artificial intelligence. It's just a first draft paper where we present the first model and where we combine the dimensions of smart city as has been presented in the literature, and then the AI capability. We talk about computer vision, natural language processing, machine learning, deep learning, predictive analytics, robotics, and so on. So here, basically, the IoT devices will and sensor network and any other device will be deployed in the city, will collect data. The data will go to the AI brain or the artificial brain, and then we talk about AI-led smart city, where actually we have more hints about the current and the future behavior. We can do some predictive, some forecasting about the behavior of the smart city in the future, so we can be more proactive than reactive, because the current situation of smart cities application are reactive. We collect the data, we take current decision about the current situation. But if we using artificial intelligence, we can take decision about, for example, 1 week from now, what will happen in the traffic, what will happen in the health, what will happen in the environment. We can take what is called proactive actions, and then get ready for the next week events, you know, which will happen in the city. So this is not existing now in the research, and this is what we are exploring. So this is very basic model which show the conceptual design of such combination between artificial intelligence and smart city. But you know, it's a concept, but we need to implement, of course, this model with real data. So in the next version maybe of the paper, we'll contact some smart cities leaders, then they can provide us with data, the real data related to smart cities, and then we can apply what is called AI models, whatever the model, whatever the type of the data. If it's image, videos, we can apply deep learning and computer vision. If it's structured data, we can apply data science and so on. So once we receive the data from the smart cities real application, then we can apply the real model, artificial intelligence model, and we can combine many models because this is the power of this design. And then we can predict, you know, the behavior of city in the future, not only in the present. So this is basically the proposed research and outlook. In conclusion, thank you very much. But you know, we have always to keep its technical issues, but we have to keep in mind always that the smart city is for citizens. You know, we use technology as a tool, not as a target. As Shakespeare said, what is the city but the people, you know? So we have to use the best technology, but we have to keep in mind that at the center always people and citizens for that. All right, thank you very much. This is my presentation. It was short. I hope it's helpful, and I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you have any question, I'm glad to answer your question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Walid. Very interesting presentation. Now for the attendees, please, if you have any questions, we have sometimes for your questions to be answered, and Dr. Walid will be happy to answer any question, anything related to smart cities, not only related to the presentation, because as I know, he has good experience in smart cities. So if anybody please have any question, please don't hesitate to ask.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
So actually, just out of curiosity, I wanted to know, because you talked about smart cities, do we see maybe after 20 years the rural areas being turned into smart cities? And as if we see a big gap between rural and urban areas, and many rural areas are being abandoned already. They've started being abandoned. So do we see just, you know, all around us just smart cities existence of these cities, and we might not have many rural areas in the future?
Yes, very great question. Actually, this is a topic now, because remember, the smart city is the consequence of moving from rural area to big cities. Now, many government, they said, well, instead of investing in smart cities and technology, why we don't revamp the rural area? And there is a huge now field of research called smart villages. You know, and where the government are focusing now more on villages to provide them technologies, jobs, facilities, as in cities, so they will decelerate or even stop the urbanization process. You know, so this is and this is a big phenomenon in a country like India. India now is working on 100 smart cities project over all India, and then also they are working on smart villages also to decelerate or to stop the urbanization process. So we have two scenarios: either we build cities with technology to bring them smart to face the growth of population and the urbanization process, or we enhance villages to stop the urbanization process. And these two strategies are applied in many countries. Not only technology. I remember in Italy, one mayor, who is the mayor of a rural area in Italy, he gave 2,000 euro for anybody to stay in the village, and then with these 2,000 euro, they can build their own startups or small business to stay in the village. So many government, they are using now technology to encourage people stay in their villages and work on the agriculture and so on. So we have two strategies. The first strategy is to use technology to make cities more powerful to face the urbanization and all the problems that I mentioned. And the second strategy is to decelerate or stop the urbanization process by equipping the villages with technology and with facilities and so on. Smart villages. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Any further questions, please? All right, since there are no questions, I don't know if anybody wants to ask. All right, since we don't have any further questions, thank you very much, Dr. Walid Ben Ali. Very interesting presentation. Now we'll move to the next presentation, but before we proceed with the schedule, let's just check if the presenter Mohammed Saeed Al-Shaili is attending with us or not. Otherwise, we can move to the fourth presentation, which is a literature review on impact of COVID-19 pandemic on online teaching and learning. This research was conducted by Mr. Loain Naimi and Dr. Mohammed Mastan from Oman College of Management and Technology. The presentation will be presented by Mr. Loain Naimi. Mr. Loain Naimi, welcome, and please, you can proceed with your presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Thank you very much for the presentation. Assalamu alaikum, مساء الخير جميعا. Welcome everybody for our conference. Today, بإذن الله تعالى, the screen is clear, Dr. Mohammed?
Yes, yeah, but it's not in the show mode.
Yes. Now,
yeah.
Now it's
perfect.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahim. So we'll start our presentation for our paper, inshallah, our research paper. The title, as Dr. Mohammed mentioned, Literature Review on Impact of COVID-19 Pandemic on Online Teaching and Learning. First of all, we will present the introduction, the purpose of this study, the hypothesis, the methodology, the result analysis and discussion, finding, conclusion, and references. Of course, everyone knows what happened after the pandemic of COVID-19. It forced all the organization to making, of course, breakdown, stay at homes, and of course, the teaching and learning institutions, the universities, are also included with that. So many organizations around the world make full use of a variety of emerging online communication platform technologies. So we need the online communication technologies. Of course, social distancing, restrictive movement policies, the significantly distributed traditional education practices. So the universities, the colleges, the schools, among the organization have asked students, tutor, and lecture to give the lecture to use different online communication platforms to ensure education process remain uninterrupted. The purpose of this study, the main aim of this paper, conduct a literature review of online learning implementation due to the impact of COVID-19 outbreak. The main issue of the online learning during the COVID-19 are the availability of hardware, software, and the internet connection. This is the main problems. But there is another type of problems. Our research discuss it more important than the technology issues, the hardware, the software, and the internet connection. The list of tools recommendation for supporting activities of online learning is also discussed in this research. So we'll go to the main purpose of this study. The study will try to answer two questions. What are the most important topics which are related to online teaching and affected the academic staff learning? What is the impact of online practices which associate to social? This is the main part, the social, cognitive, and teaching issue context. The technologies now, the IT technology cover the first part, the communication and the platforms required for online teaching. But what about the social, the cognitive, and the teaching context issues? So from this point, our hypothesis come. The hypothesis of this research has been designed to answer the above two questions. The hypothesis, the modern available technologies are completely enough to implement online education. Okay, the technology are available. While that technology does not cover the social and cognitive education issues, this is the main problem, the cognitive and social education issues. So how to prove or disprove this hypothesis? The methodology of our research is to prove or disprove the hypothesis through provide check literature on teaching practices and online learning, context of the teaching and of the teachers. Second, by describe the result of online teaching and learning practices on social, cognitive, and learning issues through many researches in the world. After review many researches from different countries about these problems, the interaction among peers and educators were key to promote collaboration and relationship, but not enough to ensure the establishment of social presence. The connectedness of practices, their effect and effective response to one another, and their interaction through sharing their ideas enhance social presence. Moreover, the creation of supportive learning environments and learning communities characterized by high level of social presence were the result of strong collaboration, interactivity, mutual respect, and interdependence. So the main idea is how we can create learning environment, online learning environment, not the traditional one, how to create online learning environment that satisfy all these requirements: the social presence, the mutual respect, the collaboration, the interactivity, and the interdependence. So the development of relevant and ethical assignment. Some design principles include adding what to our education environment and interactive components to online learning, activities that enable the constructive dialogue approach to e-learning, focusing on problem of the everyday teaching practices that promoted learners' participations and they are able to apply new knowledge. This research summarized the application of online learning technologies in many countries. The result shown in the following table. If we look to the table, we can understand where is the main practices, the main themes, and their percentage that used now in online learning. The online communication, it is about 15.7%. Teaching or teacher knowledge, 8.2. Teacher participation or engagement, 11.2. Use and effect of video, 6.7. Feedback or peer assignment activities, 6. Interaction among practices, 20.1. And other themes like the exams, the quizzes, the homeworks, and so on, there's 32.1. If we look to these practices, the problem with these practices not focused on the social things, not consider the cognitive part of the learning of the education. Just it consider the communication part, how to transfer the knowledge from the professor to the student. That's it. through the communication, through the exams, through the videos, any tools, but not consider the cognitive requirements of the teaching. Of course, along with the role adopted by online education, much research found that the participants received quality levels of the online learning experience were the result of the attitude of student and commitment. Effective learning occurred when the student was devoted, prepared, self-motivated, has good support, and provided relevant comments that increase participation and quality. So this is the important thing. We should encourage our students to be a part of our lectures. This is more important. The factor influence the establishment of online education shown in the following table. These are the practices that can help us to cover the social part of the education. The facilitations, clear expectations, appropriate questions, acknowledgement of cultural issues, timely, consecutive, specific, and detailed feedback, students' attitude and commitment. Also, the pandemic approach learned at the center, teacher as facilitator, knowledge interaction. The learning design theme, flexible, personalized, conceptualized, social, formative, use the, of course, the appropriate tool and technology. So if we can cover these three themes, we can merge between the both types of education, the social education and the normal education, the communication between the professors and the students. Finding and conclusions. This study has many effects on teaching. First, put the tone or need the emergency online practices to provide evidence-based approach to online teaching and learning that recognize the characteristics of this education category and its effect. Second, emphasize the need for a graduating approach and depend heavily on social and learning integrated it as a starting point to develop teaching and learning practice, but also from broader support structure of higher education institutions in partition with government organization for equity and integration rights. As a conclusion from the above discussion, as a result for this research paper, the above discussion and analysis approved the research hypothesis. This hypothesis means that the technology which is available in our hands are quite satisfy the online education needs. The communication needs covered by our available technologies, modern technologies, but that technology does not satisfy the online practices associated to social, cognitive, and teaching issue context. This is the problem. So the second part, not covered by the technology only, it should be covered by the professors, the teaching staff himself, how he deal with the students, how he encourage them to commit with the lecture, to include it in the lecture, to be in with the lecture. More studies and research need to apply in the field of developing the current online teaching to meet the social and cognitive requirements. This is the reference used, the most reviewed references that use in our research. And if you have any question, please, you can ask now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rai, for your interesting presentation. Please, if you have any questions, any discussion, I think it's a hot topic now. Please, if you have any questions, the floor is yours. Any questions? Yes, Shahid, Mr. Shahid.
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 Yeah. How we can get the recording of this meeting? Because maybe we want it.
Dr. Mohammed, the question for you. She asked about how they can get the record of the conference.
This is the it will be published. It will be published for sure, and we will send you the link, and you'll find the details in the website of the conference. Thank you, Shahid. Any other questions? All right. Before concluding this session, let's just check once again on the presence of Mohammed Saeed al-Shaili. Dr. Mastan, is he available or not? Otherwise, we'll conclude.
He's not available, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Mastan. All right, then we will conclude the session, and this session was supposed to present 4 research, but actually only 3 research were presented. The first one was by Dr. Sabria from Sultan Qaboos University and Dr. Basil about supporting methods fragments of service-oriented architecture, realization, review, and future research. And the second one was presented by Dr. Walid bin Ali, which is about smart cities and artificial intelligence led. And the third one was presented by Mr. Lai and Dr. Mastan, a literature review on impact of COVID-19 pandemic on online teaching and learning. I think we are heading or ahead from the schedule, but it's all right if you have any questions. Otherwise, we can move to the next track. Dr. Mastan, thank you very much, and I'll leave the floor to Dr. Mastan to continue with other sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Razavi. The next session is track AFS track, administration and financial services track. This session is chaired by Dr. Raif Abdul Nader, head of the department, AFS department. Dr. Raif Abdul Nader, you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Doctor. So we can start, Dr. Mastan?
Yes, sir. You can start, sir. The first presenter is ready. He is available.
Okay.
You can invite him.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Dr. Mastan. First, I want to